Nice shirt.
I'm a diehard Wu-Tang fan. Sorry, just
Does Noel know that?
I don't think so.
Huh.
I'm a music lover, but Wu-Tang Clan started when I was like a freshman in high school, and I was just crazed ever since. And they were in Staten Island, and I lived in Linden, which was exactly 30 minutes from Staten Island. So I was a big Wu-Tang fanatic when they first started.
Cool.
Cool.
Um,
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. Long time. Long time.
More than 10 years now.
More than 10 years now. How is your brother?
One day I won't be Danny's sister, huh?
No, we cannot move away from our siblings, but I just remember him singing and stuff in that concert, like on stage. And I was like, wow,
Oh,
okay.
he's doing really good. I'm just kidding. He's nicer now that he's old. But he actually his song just got placed in a movie, which is called, it's got that guy from Entourage in it.
Okay.
It just came out. It's about like a guy who like moves back to his hometown and like tries to open a casino in his own town. It just came out a couple days ago, I think, but like his song's in it, so it's pretty cool.
Cool.
And he's opening a jiu-jitsu school, and he just bought a house in Nevada, and he's about to have another baby, number 2.
Okay. Yeah. That he's doing a lot.
Doing a lot.
He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot.
And I'm
He's
just,
doing
here in Florida, talking to people on the internet.
Well, good for you being in Florida. I definitely look forward to leaving New Jersey as soon as possible.
Really?
Oh yeah, the day I have 9 years before I can retire, and when I tell you that wonderful day in June, the very next day, all of my shit will be gone, and I will not be in New Jersey a day after retirement. Not a day after. Sorry, I'm out of here.
Where are you going?
Definitely the South. Definitely Florida or Georgia, or I have land in Florida, and a couple of different areas. So it's Florida's a good chance because I have land there. But I've got a lot of family in Georgia too. So
Georgia? I hear Georgia's good, and I hear Texas is coming up.
yes, my brother lives in Texas, so I've got some options, but I know it's not New Jersey. I'm done. I'm so done. So done.
Yeah, I feel like that happens, and then you're like, oh, I gotta go back to New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, once you realize like there's no good Italian food out in the United States. I mean, obviously Italy is good, but
Yeah, yeah.
like that area, like people tell you, but you don't know till you leave.
So you see there and you're searching and it's like this all sucks. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
You're like, oh, did you go to the Olive Garden? You're like, oh god.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
No. Oh my god. Someone got to give me a gift card for an Olive Garden. It's bad.
Still haven't used it yet.
No. I went to one once because I was down here.
Okay.
And it was terrible. It was like it was hell. It was like being in food hell.
I actually, the very last time I went to Olive Garden, I went with my brother and he had a lawsuit. They found a toenail clipping in his pastry. And I can text you a picture of it. Like, it wasn't a fingernail. It was clearly some guy's big toenail that was taken. We were in the restaurant there, and it's like, no, dude, no way. Like it was in that place. Crazy.
Who's Cutting their nails in a
in a
restaurant. Their
restaurant.
toenails.
A toenail clipping. There's no thumb that could have been that big. Like
Like
it's
in the kitchen.
in the apple thing. It was like almost like somebody put like it was like trying to use it as a fucking garnish or something. Like it was not even laying. It was like curved, kind of pointing upwards and outwards.
That was just like a
It's
fuck.
almost it's almost and we actually we caught it as the server put it down. So it wasn't even who
It
did you
wasn't
put
even
that in
hit.
the food?
Did
It would
you
have
piss off the wait staff? Like this sounds
but
like
oh, I get that shove it in, but the fact that even the waiter was like, oh shit, because it was like curved, but and it was like it looked
it's
deliberate.
like they stuck it in. Like
Yes.
what did you do? Like did you
Pictures,
no,
the
I
guy
mean like
verified
before this
it.
was dessert. Like what did you do during dinner that they
Me, I,
hated you them?
I am so because of my experience. I don't fuck with wait staff. I do not disrespect wait staff just from my own personal experiences. So it wasn't that type of situation in any way, shape, or form. But he damn sure got that damn toenail.
Oh my god. Well
I
maybe
didn't
maybe
even
it was the cook that hated the waiter.
make,
That's probably
but
that's
it did come
disgusting.
down to lawsuit because it was just as he put it down. The server verified that because he saw it as he put it. Looked it was like curving outward, like
Like, what is that? That's not an apple.
clearly. Initially he said he thought it was a piece of the pastry because it was like kind of tan in color, and he was like, I thought it was a part of the crust curving like that. Like really?
Oh.
Like
Anyway,
yeah.
I forgot to introduce you. We just started talking.
Okay,
I'm
yes.
gonna do that really quick.
Go ahead.
All right.
Let's go. Hey,
Hey
I do
guys.
have a question. My neighbor actually needs me to move my car in a few minutes. Is it okay to pause and move the car right quick?
Yeah, it's
Not,
pre-recorded.
not at the moment, but okay. Okay. But we're good.
So hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's place. I have a really special guest today. We have first name Mr., last name Huggins. On the show.
That's great.
Uh,
Glad to be here. Really, really happy to be here.
Mr. Huggins is my high school culinary teacher. Along with I can't introduce talk about you either without talking about Mr. Gulardo, who is also
Of course,
great.
Mr. John Gulardo.
Yeah, is he still there too?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Both moving to Florida, second year.
I don't know him. He's gonna. I do believe he's gonna stay there. I'm the person that's running away from New Jersey.
So, um, yeah, so I wanted to have you on the show because um, I've been thinking about social media a lot lately too,
Hmm.
and I was lucky that like it wasn't that big. I was lucky and unlucky that like when I was going to school, we had computers and the internet, but it was kind of like it wasn't as good as it was today.
Yes,
you know,
things have
like
definitely changed.
like I think I was probably part of like the first classes that we would like print out recipes that we liked and like I want to make this like in your classes. But which were terrible. Now that I like look at internet recipes, I'm like, oh my god, it's like probably like going to the doctor and like when people Google what's wrong with them.
And yeah, it's such a dangerous place. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. You really don't. You really, really don't.
So yeah, so well, first I wanted to kind of like I kind of know like how you became a chef and everything because I was your student. But
Mhm.
for the people listening, I want to kind of like go into that first. And
Sure, sure. I started out as just a very young kid that was just passionate about culinary, whereas my brother and other family members were just everybody loved sports or other things. I was that person that was fascinated about everything food. I guess a foodie before there were foodies. I wanted to know how to make my own frosted flakes or if I could make a better type of ketchup, because I thought Heinz's ketchup might have been a little bit too sweet. And I was just always trying to modify things before I was even aware. And at that particular time, there was no internet. There was Julia Childs and lots of books in libraries, but there was no real access. So the only thing you could do at that particular time was just volunteer and just go to kitchens and volunteer as some dumb kid to say, hey, can I learn? Can I work here? And that was it. So I was just always hungry for more culinary knowledge before it was readily accessible to me. And that was just my beginnings with it, always being hungry to learn more, always volunteering to work in any kitchen or any food service establishment that I saw. And that was, I guess, where it started, just always being fascinated. And my parents, God rest their soul, my mother was a wonderful cook and I loved her food, but my father's food was horrible. And I didn't understand why I always needed ketchup or some kind of soy sauce or something to make his food even slightly palatable. So it was just from him, like, why does this food suck? What can I do to make it better? Because this is really hard to digest and swallow. And I was just that food person that just wanted to know why. Everything was a why,
I
and
did was it like bachelor pad cooking or something? Like
no, I would just say, ooh, just lazy man cooking. He loved boiled okra on white rice with butter and salt and pepper. So okra
I think
creates that natural slime, and to season it with only salt and pepper on a pile of white rice and call that dinner, it was like, this is horrible. You're torturing me. And I think it was just lazy, man. Like he could have ate peanut butter and jelly every day and been fine with it. And that was what it was. So my parents split. It was just like, I'm not gonna cook. I'm just gonna make the bare minimum, eat that. And then I'd be like, this sucks. I don't want to eat it. I don't want to eat it. And that was just what he would do. So his food was always bad and my mom's food was always good. And I just never could understand why everybody else's food was so good and his was so bad. And he needed help. So I'm like, I got to get this together because you're suffering here, Dad. And that was just another fuel for my curiosity to find ways to help him out.
did you ever teach him how to cook anything?
No, he was fine with the boiled okra and white rice, salt and pepper. He was just okay with that shit. That was just fine with him, and he just never needed to make any changes to it. The only thing it turned into him just cooking less instead of
Oh,
helping him. So it turned into him cooking a lot less and less and less. But that was, I would say, the early sparks of it. And then from there, when I was around 11, I competed in a statewide cooking competition sponsored by ShopRite called Kids in the Kitchen. I took second
okay.
place in the state. And then from there, I just started volunteering in lots of restaurants.
What was the first restaurant that you worked in or volunteered in?
There was a restaurant in Roselle, New Jersey called Jazzy's Soul Cafe. And I went there and I remember that everybody would love their food. My mom liked their food, but they didn't remove the scales from the fish. So they were serving fried fish, but it had scales on it. And I remember I remember being there on my first day and like, wait a second, we should take the scales off. And I wasn't a chef by any means, but I'm looking
Oh,
at a
really?
prop. I was maybe 13. And I'm like looking at this, like they're selling all this fish, but people, if you look in the restaurant, you could see like dishes would come back and there'd be like half-eaten fish. Like people would eat it, but they would like fight through it because they wouldn't. I don't know what the heck they were doing. And
So for people that don't cook, the scales on a fish have a lot of bacteria on them, and you can get really sick.
yeah, you're not supposed to be crunching on scales when you're trying to eat dinner, and that was my first job. And I didn't last there very long because I kept picking out things that they were doing wrong. And I was this 13-year-old kid saying, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that either, or that either. And then I lost my job because I was actually giving them sound advice. But
Why? That's kind of crazy though. That like, because honestly, I learned that from you, that fish scales are bad for you.
Yeah.
Because we didn't in my house we didn't really eat fish because like nobody really knew how to cook it, I think.
Yeah.
So like I didn't know how to do any like breakdown of fish at all until your class. But it's kind of crazy that like the health department or
They weren't
like
open
if
too
it's
much longer.
common knowledge to like a 13-year-old kid, like
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely common knowledge to me because I had eaten fish and there were lots of fishermen in my family and I just knew. So to see that there were these scales on the porgies and the other types of fish, I'm like, this is weird. You're doing something wrong. You need to buy it scaled, or you need to get in the back and just start breaking them down differently. Like it, and that again, I lost my job because I was trying to tell them how to run their business, as they said.
So there's a lot of fishermen in your family. So do you like fish a lot?
I love to fish when I can. It's awesome. I am definitely I love to fish at heart. That is my thing. That is definitely my jam.
So that's why you got to move to the south too.
That's a part of it. I definitely will be out on the water early morning. You know, I think it's great when you're sourcing a product from a place that you know, and it doesn't get fresher than that. You know, I like to be, and the same thing with like I actually ran the botany club in the high school for about 5 years. I'm big into growing, so like being involved in sourcing food, you know, at its source to me is something cool that I like to, you know, be involved with. So, you know,
The
catching.
botany club?
Yeah,
They
growing
have a
garden.
botany club now? Yo,
We
let me
sure
tell you a
we
story
did botany. I
about
got deep into the botany stuff.
how mad I am. I'm a little bitter. I'm not mad. I'm a little bitter. So I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a twin.
Yes.
And when I was in middle school, there was a certain science teacher that ran a pepper club.
Okay.
Um, and I was really interested in it. But one of the qualms I have with the school system is that from the time you're kind of like in elementary school, you're put into like regular or like, you know, hot advanced classes and stuff.
Correct.
And um, I am I went to kindergarten in Bayonne.
Okay.
So in Bayonne, they didn't allow twins to be in the same class.
Okay.
So because they were afraid, I think that they would just talk to each other and they would never branch out, which is not the case. They met me and Danny. So my mom assumed that we had to be in the different classes in Nutley. So he automatically to split us up, someone has to go in regular, someone has to go in advanced, right? So he got put in advanced. And you know, we get to middle school and I was so interested in you know, I've been interested in food since I was a little kid. So I wanted to do this pepper thing, but because I wasn't not only because I wasn't in like the higher class or whatever, I wasn't allowed to do it.
Uh,
Number one, which I think is not great because you could be, you know, some people just aren't interested in things and that's why they don't do well in other classes.
correct.
But it was also because it was one per household and my brother was already doing it.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
was like, what the fuck? His
Yeah,
plants are
exactly.
dying.
Yeah.
So I would go. I remember I would go and I would go like I would try to like he was obviously didn't want anything to do with me because I'm not cool. And he was like so I've been trying like I would try to ask him like, well, what'd you do? What because they would take the one pepper off like the root stock and they would sew it onto the other pepper and make it like grow. And I
Yeah.
thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And but like if I didn't have like I had to learn it secondhand through him, which come on, like it's
I
Danny.
understand. That's not. He's like, it's daddy. Come on.
But you know, but there's like I remember going from high school to college thinking I was so nervous because you would talk to us about VOTEC schools all the time.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so far behind everyone that went to Votech school. Like, this is going to be so hard. And then I got there and I was like, these people are dumb. I was like, what? You went to a culinary school and you don't know how many ounces are in a cup? I was like, what is going on here? It's so, but then, I was like, go Nutley Public School System.
You know,
Just like,
wow. I tell you that right there, which I can say that one of the greatest things about Nutley for me is that when I started in 2004, they gave me a blank sheet and said do what you want. And
how did you go from, so what, like, why don't we talk to other, like, what other cooking did you do? And then how did you wind up becoming a teacher?
okay, so I worked a variety of restaurants as I was in high school. Um, it's interesting. The director of the cafeteria slash
No, you're freezing up.
oh no.
Oh wait, you're back. You're back. Yay. All right.
Okay, very good. The director of the culinary VOTEC program in Linden High School at the time was not going to be renewing his tenure. So he basically in September said, when I first met him, was like, you know what, I don't care. Do what you want to do. I'm not going to teach you. You can do anything that you want. If you want to come in 2 hours after class, I'll mark you present, and I don't care. So basically, what happened is that since he was responsible for providing teacher lunches, I started doing it. So while I was in high school, I started doing the teacher cafeteria thing. And then he kind of came around and started helping me and teaching me quantity food prep as far as working with catering. And this is while I was a freshman and a sophomore. He then recommended me to Union County Vocational to do my vocational studies there. I did Linden half the day and the other half the day there. So I worked with Chef, his name was Chef Yak. I worked with Chef Yak and I put his name out there. He's a great guy, great guy. But I worked with him, and he recommended me to a variety of other places to work. Like he really was a great inspiration, to go further. Even though at that time Linden Schools wasn't doing him right, he was a good motivation to me to go further. And while I was in vocational school, I started catering, working with a kosher caterer, and so I guess I always had that catering experience. So I was working with this kosher caterer out of Cranford. I'll leave his name nameless, but I was working with this kosher caterer, which I got a great experience with, setting up kosher meals and all the different things that are very important in kosher catering. So I would say kosher catering, a restaurant in New York, a few restaurants in New York, then culinary school. And right after culinary school, I got into an accident where I did tremendous damage to my shoulder.
Car
Uh,
accident?
Car accident. I was a passenger, went through the windshield, wasn't wearing my seatbelt, and it made it very difficult to do anything. At that particular time, I was a head chef at Van Gogh's in Union, and I just couldn't do anything, and that's where I guess depression set in, because I had all this culinary experience and couldn't even lift the saute pan. Uh, and I had a lot of damage. My arm was really screwed up. Thankfully, I had a base in catering, so I kind of started getting back into catering. And I got a job through my girlfriend at the time, who became a singer with Arista Records. And she signed me as her personal chef slash security person. And with her, I catered for, or became her personal chef, but I cooked for Babyface, I cooked for TLC, I cooked for about 3 or 4 different music video shoots.
Cool.
And after around the time of September 11th, the music industry was losing tons of cash due to a pirating software system called Napster.
I remember Napster.
Yeah, and Napster was the first time the music industry was losing cash. So I lost my job, and that's when my parents said, "You have all this experience. Why not just teach it? You'll get a normal schedule, and you'll have fun." And I'm like, no way. Why the hell would I want to be a teacher? That is not my bag. So my father at that time was the director of the Boys and Girls Club in Union. And he said, I'm going to write a cooking program for a summer teaching program, and you're going to do it. And that's it. And I did it. And it was the best job I ever had. And that is, I would say, the beginnings of me teaching that
How
wonderful.
old were the kids?
The kids were around 10 to 12, but it was so much fun.
Summer camp like that. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it was so much fun working with those kids. My dad gave me free reign to do what I wanted, just to teach what I wanted, and I just had fun. The kids had questions, I had answers,
What
and
were some of the craziest questions that they asked you?
oh, I remember a kid talking about. He actually pulled me aside. He's like, you know what? This is gonna sound odd, but I like the way my boogers taste. Um, is there anything because I would always say we can always find a way to make food better. We can always improve what we eat. And he said, I actually like the way my burgers taste. Can you help me?
Can you make anything that tastes like boogers? Is that the question?
Yeah, I stumped totally, and you could tell he was being honest and sincere in his question. And I'm like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, little buddy, but woo. I said, you know what, and that was the beginning, I guess, being teachers. Like, you know what, I don't know, but we can find out together. We'll kind of brainstorm that, and we'll come to an answer together. And that was just me trying to segue and say it, but you'd be surprised. Kids get comfortable and say some of the oddest things in the world. Period. That is definitely one thing with teaching. You hear the oddest things all the time, all the time.
Well, I remember too, like people, food brings everyone together. And I think like you were kind of also a guidance counselor.
Yes,
You
yes.
probably still are.
Uh, Grace, I remember being at, look, I've been at Nutley High School. We're learning about, filleting fish, and it's like, hey, Huggins, it burns when I pee. What should I do? And I'm like, dude, I'm the cooking teacher, man. We got the nurse, we got the health teacher. Why? Like, I don't know why you think I have this answer, but we can find that answer together. Okay, so it's always like we can find it together. Not right now, but I will find that answer.
Go wash your hands.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's always like we can find that answer together. Not right now, but we can delve into that a little bit later. But I teach cooking, not health. But yeah, guidance counselor is definitely one of those things. You kind of get a lot of odd conversation. But that's good. Kids open up to you.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of kids that they're not going to open. I was actually really lucky in Nutley High School that I had so many great teachers that I didn't realize that was something people didn't have until I left. I mean, I had a couple like terrible ones, I'm not gonna lie, but like for the most part, like the ones that were good were so good that like Chiquino was
Oh
amazing.
man, I keep in contact. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I
Period.
still talk to him, and like I actually never took Italian, and he just
He just he
he
just
taught
gravitated.
life. He didn't teach Italian. He taught life. Sick
Yes,
guy.
he did. Danny Chiquino, love that guy. And I think that's also a big prerequisite to teaching. You can't just be locked into your subject area. You're building relationships. You have to teach life. It's a part of it. It's definitely a part of it. And I think a lot of teachers go into it not thinking about it that way. They think, all right, I'm going to teach them a subject and that's it. No, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were teaching at the YMCA. Oh wait, before I forget, I have a question I have to ask you for
Sure.
Noel. Are you still doing the car club?
No, I do not. We had to shut the car club down. Unfortunately, a lot of mass shootings, and a lot of dangerous things started happening in America. And with that, they put a tighter clamp on us. We were doing the car club to raise money for the American Cancer Society with that car show. And what happened was, let's say I raised $3,000 for the American Cancer Society. It got to the point where I'd have to spend $2,000 in security to raise to do it. So it's like, wait a second, if I'm doing this much, just
What?
yes, exactly. So like you have to pay police officers to be at an event, so we started getting.
Wait, you at a public school? You have our taxes don't pay for that?
No, not at all. So I did car shows, and I'd get up 250 cars from people from all over. And these are people on Nutley soil that we don't know, that we haven't vetted. And, who knows if somebody, had bad intentions at that particular place. So it was a big draw for the town. It was great for the town, but it was also dangerous as well. So it had to be heavily policed. And since it was my event, I had to provide that security, that additional security. And it's got to the point where it just didn't make sense, because again, I was trying to do it to raise money for cancer, but I was spending more money on security. And that's where we got to the point where we had to back away from it.
That sucks.
It did, because it was at that time it was something completely different for the town.
Yeah.
The car shows, and it was just something different than the norm that we were doing. Shout out to Mr. Catrambone and my former advisor, Miss Sanchez, for giving me all the support that they did to do what we did. And it was great. We had our car shows and our car club for about 10 years. It was wonderful. Good time.
Are you still working on your Toyota Supra? Is that it?
I had it. I sold it. I sold it.
Well, I was gonna be devastated.
Yeah, it was sold. I came across a random opportunity, a very great opportunity to purchase a home, and I was trying to be the responsible person.
I
So.
mean, I agree. Noel's not gonna agree, but I agree.
It was like, wait a second, somebody offered me a significant amount of money for my used Toyota, which I loved like a person, but I was trying to make a rational decision. And that's when I said, okay. So, but it will be replaced at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a fun car,
Yeah,
You get the reliable car, and then you get the fun car.
exactly.
Noel's been modifying the Jeep that we got. He lifted it.
Okay.
I know all the technical terms. He put on big tires on it.
Yes, he lifted the suspension. He put some bigger wheels on there. Of course, I get it. I totally
And we had a
understand.
roof rack for a while, but one thing you're gonna hate about Florida if you come here is nobody knows how to fucking drive.
I hear that. I hear that a
And
lot.
it's terrible. And so he's trained to be an airplane mechanic. Uh,
Wonderful.
so hopefully by the end of the summer he'll have his license.
Okay.
And then we were down in Fort Lauderdale for training, and everything is like, it's like a highway here. They call it a street, but it's a highway. It's like there's like 2 or 3 lanes and jug handles, and it's kind of like, I guess it's 46 with all the strip malls and shit.
Gotcha.
It's all like that.
Okay.
So this girl was coming out of the strip mall, and she sped up, and while I was coming this way, sped up, went across all the lanes of traffic to try to cut him off to get into the jug handle and just hit him. But because Noel's car was lifting now,
Uh-huh.
he hit him, but then his car popped up and rolled over.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So she was upset. She was like young too.
I bet she was upset.
She was upset, but that's what you get.
That's what you get.
She was fine. Like everyone was fine. The car wasn't fine, but she was fine.
Wow.
But yeah, it's Florida driving for you.
That's
So,
Florida driving. I'll be looking out for that when I get there. But Florida is still a strong possibility for me.
but anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, car club, but then teaching. So we never got how you got so the YMCA.
YMCA, yes, that was it was, I tell you, the way it went down. I taught that the summer of 2003. And then I graduated from Fairleigh Dickinson in 2004. And my father found the
The one in Madison or Teaneck?
Teaneck.
Whoa. My mom was the head of student health services there for like 16 years.
Yeah, small
Yeah.
world.
I
Small
might have
world.
thought I started helping her out, like checking in the students for medical clearance around then, I think. Maybe not. Maybe she was still at NYU then. I don't know. But she might have just started there. That's crazy. She might have checked you in.
She might have checked me in. Probably did. That was, I was going there from 2001 or 2002 to 2004. Yeah,
Wow. That's crazy.
that's crazy. Yeah, but no,
They had a
I
culinary program?
no, hotel, restaurant, and tourism management.
Oh, the easier.
So
Major.
I needed that bachelor's, but I finished in '04, and my dad found the newspaper clipping for Nutley looking to begin a culinary teacher, a culinary program. He found it and gave it to me. I applied, and that was that.
Whoa. Who was Pastor Bone
Yes, Mr.
principal?
Catchambone was actually, Mr. Catchambone was the vice principal. Mr. Zara was the principal when I started.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Mr. Zara was the principal, Mr. Catchambone was the vice principal, and Mr. Affinito as well. So those were the two guys in the office, and it's a different time, but they gave me all the support. They said, you have a vision, go with it. And I wanted to build a program that was missing the information that I didn't have when I was younger. I wanted the program to be production based, where since I had the catering experience, I wanted the students to provide a service to the school and to the district, so they had a practical application for what they were doing. And in turn, because the problem with culinary programs, they're very expensive. So to save the district money and to cater all these things in house versus them going to the Ninas and all the other places they were going, it's like, let's do this ourselves. We'll save money. It'll guarantee that the culinary program still stays, because when it's time for budgeting, culinary goes. That's why it's not so, common in a lot of schools, nationwide. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But if you have a program that's providing a service to the district, it evens out. And that was my immediate goal, to give kids a practical application, and to guarantee my own job security. And it was good. They let me do the whole thing. They let me cater. They let me put this all into place, because previously it was home ec. And they let me make that change to culinary. They let me pick textbooks. They let me say, hey, I want a uniform. Like, okay. I'm like, what do you want in a uniform? Oh, I want a chef jacket. I want that on chef. Okay. So they would say okay to everything. And it was just insane. And I would say my first 3 years there, every single thing you can imagine doing, I did. I was lucky enough to get the 2007 Teacher of the Year award from Mr. Catchambone. And it was just because of all the work we were doing. We were catering everything. The Nutley kids were just doing everything. We even did a synchronized catering event where on one day I catered all the lunches for every single teacher in every school in the whole district, all at the same time, same service time, district wide. It was insane. Like I was coming up with crazy ideas to do, and they just let me do it all. It was a good time.
Well, I remember when we took over the cafeteria.
Yep, we took over the cafeteria for 2 days. That was a big thing too. They wanted us to keep doing it over and over and over again, but we got to a problem where the cafeteria workers are on a contract, and we actually made 10 times the revenue in a day. Uh,
Well, the food was they were Well, that was another thing that I didn't know
What's
when
that?
I was a kid was that like starting because people people don't know about Nutley, but starting in they probably don't do this anymore because it's a different time, but starting in elementary school in like fourth grade, your parent could write a note and you could go out for lunch
And you
like
still
on the
can.
next day. Really?
They have not gotten
But,
rid of it yet.
but did you have to be like we didn't have to be accompanied by an adult. We could just go.
No, not Nutley High School. You can still leave for lunch.
No. I mean elementary
Oh, in
school.
the elementary schools, they've gotten rid of that. That's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
So yeah, so high school, but that's the thing in high school, if they got rid of that, all those businesses on Franklin Ave would be
Would
done.
have be gone.
Like they'd be gone. But the cafeteria food was terrible. So
Yeah.
nobody unless we had lab class where like you have to work through your lunch for science,
Mhm.
you didn't eat in cafeteria. You
You left.
as
There's
soon
so
as
many
you heard
places.
that bell, you ran as fast as you could because you had 42 minutes. And it's
Exactly.
like whoever was in that radius, like they made all the money.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So like oh my god, like the chicken parm sandwiches at A&S, I would like they're like
Those are still good. They're still great.
I miss you're not gonna find that in Florida. You're not gonna find them.
That would be upsetting because I'm so used to that. I still go to ANS like here
Or
and there.
the number 17. Did you ever have a number 17?
No, what is that?
It's a chicken cutlet with mozzarella. I think it's roasted. It's either fresh red. It's been so long. Fresh red pepper or roasted red pepper
Okay.
and balsamic.
Okay.
And you might have to ask for the balsamic, but it's like it's one of the best sandwiches, especially with the. Oh man, but I heard Nicola's went out of
Yeah,
business.
yeah, they're gone. They're gone. Yeah, I know.
Where do you get the bread from now? That's the
I
question.
would say my personal, I love Plaza. Plaza bread, which I don't know if Plaza was there. I don't think Plaza was there when back then, but Plaza bread right now is killing it. They got a great bread. Really, really amazing, amazing bread.
That's Rob Catelli's family,
I don't know.
maybe.
That I don't know. That I don't know. They're on Franklin Ave, a little bit further down by that car wash.
Yeah, I lived over there for a little bit, like right
Okay.
across the street. And
By the Domino's?
yeah, I lived I know my first apartment by myself was over there.
Okay, okay.
And I had a terrible, like crazy landlord. But
A lot of them
um
are that way.
yeah. But that they just opened up when they moved over there. No,
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy. That's a lot smaller though than Nicola's.
Yeah, Zinnicola's is a big place. I used to go by and always get the breadcrumbs from there too. They always had to.
But anyway, back to good thing there's no time limit on interviews. But yeah, you started this I can't believe they just like were like do it whatever you want. You
And
didn't have
that's the amazing thing. They just said I had to write a curriculum, but they let me write it. And they let me piece it together the way I had to. So I bought a book on curriculum writing and I just kind of did it and it worked. And I did it based on my experiences in culinary school and what I thought kids should know when they went. And that was honestly it. It was just dumb luck that I found myself in that spot and that I had a lot of administrators and parents that were behind me, and it was good. It's been a great ride. It's best job I've ever had, hands down.
did you like did you so you definitely like you set out saying this is going to be for kids that want to be chefs, right?
I wanted to expose kids in a better way to food. I wanted kids that wanted to be chefs to have to get a better taste of it. And I just wanted us to be different. I mean, for me, I'm very competitive, so I wanted us to just be, I wanted to produce really, hungry, students that had good knowledge. And thankfully, just like you said, as far as, leaving our little school in Nutley and going to culinary school, I'm like, wow, we know stuff. You guys don't know anything. What's wrong with you? Like I wanted to be at that level where kids just went further and they had a good base of knowledge to start. And I think we've been consistent in producing students that have a good knowledge base to start and to go
Did
further.
you use anything from like, because now, like I've done some teaching jobs, but now, especially when the airline closed down that I was working for, I
Mhm.
was looking into it and they all want like ACF certifications now.
Yes, and ACF is it's time consuming, which is good. Nothing against it. I joined up ACF when I was in culinary school. Um, but you have a very specific program that you have to follow at that particular time, and even now we are limited with so much time to do certain things. And even now, I would say now more so budget wise, we have certain constraints that just limit us to be able to do certain things on higher levels. I can see us going towards ACF and Pro Start within the next few years, but we're hitting a very serious wall with budgetary constraints that are just really really hard. And that's where we get the limit, especially now with COVID. But prior to COVID, 42-minute period class periods, it's tough. You need time. When you're in culinary school, you're learning. You got a good block of time to get better lessons done, doing things more thoroughly. But whereas in a high school such situation, we're limited. We are looking to change to an academy model within the next few years, which will allow me to have 2-hour blocks of time with students where I can expand and do different things differently.
Will
So
they, are they going to go for block scheduling for everybody?
we have block scheduling right now. And it's an hour long block. We're in our third year of it. But with the academy model, it gives us, I'm almost get students for 2 to 3 hours, something like that. There are a few high schools in New Jersey that are doing that right now. We are looking to possibly do that as well, which will open us up to ACF and Pro Start much better.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that was the one thing that where I was like, the in high school having every subject every day for 42 minutes. I had homework. I would go home and do homework for like 4 hours. And when I went to college, I was like an average student in high school. When I went to college, I became the salutatorian.
okay,
I think
okay,
I think that was because it's too much pressure. It's too hard to do for like to learn, number one, for the teachers, but also for the students to learn anything in 42 minutes. Of course they're going to give you so much homework because they didn't get to teach you anything in class because it's only 42 minutes long. you
yeah,
know like, so I think like it would just, it would be like a, it sounds weird, but it would benefit the students so much just to have longer class periods and not the same subject every day. So you could learn how to prioritize, and like sometimes I had to prioritize like what wasn't going to get done,
yeah.
because it was like, because also another thing that I hated because I had so much homework was I did jujitsu all through high school. I was super competitive, and
Yes.
um, I wasn't allowed to go to jujitsu if I didn't finish my homework.
Okay.
So sometimes, we're like, who's checking? So,
Of course.
I'm like, what could I get in the least trouble for not doing?
Okay. Okay.
Or who could I copy from? in what class, you
Hey,
know?
getting it done. But I hear you. I always thought that was really cool. Your jujitsu work. I always thought that was very impressive.
Yeah, you were, because you were old, so you were like the only one. Everyone else was an asshole. And
No,
now they're
but
all
that
doing jujitsu, those motherfuckers.
exactly. No, but I was also into martial arts myself a bit too. So
Yeah.
I always thought that was the coolest thing. I remember that.
Yeah. That was always cool. Yeah. So funny that they're all doing jujitsu now. It's just like
Uh-huh.
the
Like
irony.
now, yeah, the irony of it. Exactly.
But so anyway, another thing I wanted to talk about too was when we took over um the cafeteria.
Mhm.
It I don't know what grade I was in. I wasn't a senior yet. Um, but really started opening my eyes to nutrition. So I'm wondering too, like from when you started to like teaching and cooking to now, like how much more have you learned, and how not just about nutrition, but like um, especially with COVID, like how are you teaching this, and also how much are you learning that like how big is the deficit in education about and with the parents too, not like the parents and the children. Like you must be teaching the family how to cook now if you're doing it in COVID, right?
Yes, definitely. Now, I would say I had to relearn how to be a teacher again. Uh, you're used to teaching culinary hands-on. When you're cooking, your senses are talking to you. You can hear when when you first put something in a pan and it's hot, you can smell just at that point where something's starting to caramelize. Like, all right, let me flip it. Like there's a lot of sensory aspects going to it when you're in person, but when you're doing an all virtual model and you can't look at someone's knife and inspect it to see if it's sharp or dull, it changes everything when you're not there. And they put oil in the pan, and you can tell if you put some oil to a pan if it's hot or if it's not. Like there's a lot of things that you're completely missing when you're in that virtual setup. So I had to relearn, and I had to relearn tricks. And now, whereas let's say I was teaching you and you were part of the class, let's say your mom's there, she's going to sit in, and so it does turn into a family dynamic, which is great. But now I've got a bigger audience, and I have to have my lessons reach a lot further. So I would say, me as well as a number of other teachers, we had to relearn to be teachers, to teach in a different way. This thing, it was like a wrecking ball. You could not do what you did before. It just does not work. And that's from the assignments to all the recipes that you've done over the course of the years that I've done. I've had to just adopt new recipes. Certain recipes are better for the virtual model versus not, in the approach of those recipes. You name it, every single thing that I used to do, I've had to modify or change. But it's better. I think in the grand scheme of it, it's made me a better educator, and it's gotten me more knowledgeable, more well versed. For example, last year, around the time when COVID was heavy, the FDA suspended all food inspection in America. Yes. And it remained suspended for a very long time. But it turned into a great teachable moment to learn about food inspection and the importance of it. And there's a lot of like people were running wild with this whole organic versus non-organic and the inspection of farms. Like it was a very, very wild time, in the food industry. So I just did a lot of reading. I learned new things for us to focus on instead. And it in the end it worked out better. We still got great culinary education, just a different education, which I would still say I wish that I could have given them some of the other pieces, but we learned some other really important pieces instead. And I just had to learn a lot of tricks. I had to do a lot of just groundwork on my own, like when I'm even teaching cutting, for example, which that's important. And I was told I still have to teach cutting, but now I'm virtual. So it's like, wait a second, you got
You're doing with so on the parents end, like how are they getting like not like I have a chef knife. Like my mom had like the knife was like this big that we had at home. Like what they're using what they have at home, I'm assuming.
they're using what they had at home. What I did was I found a fairly decent chef's knife on Amazon for $15. And
Okay.
thankfully, at this particular point, everybody's got Amazon and Prime and stuff. So I started to make lists of, hey, this is a good tool. This is a good tool. You don't have this, you should buy this. And that kind of started it. But again, that's research on my side to find what works. And Amazon probably got very upset with me because I returned a lot of stuff that I purchased, but I needed to find things that were cost effective, but usable for the kids to get things done.
Well, and
So
also, but just the cost of, like that could also be a big burden on families too, because COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs and now they got to buy a knife or even the ingredients. Like,
And so what I did when I early in found that when it came to cooking, a lot of people weren't cooking. I'd have, let's say out of 20 students virtually, I'd have maybe 5 students that were cooking and no one else would. So what I did was since I still had access to my food budget, I would go into Nutley High School and I would prepare supply bags and put the students' names on them and have them ready for them at the greeter station so they could come and pick up the supply bag. And then there was no excuse. You have the supplies. You're not sending your parents out to the grocery stores to buy what you need. I would just do that on my own. And then that brought up the participation and engagement that I needed to have everyone cooking.
that's awesome.
A lot of groundwork.
Yeah, that's a lot of groundwork.
A lot of groundwork, but it took that so that meant, hey, I've got to watch the recipes because now I'm buying all of these ingredients. I have to bag it up, separate it, package it, set it out. It was
And
just
how many kids would you teach in a day too? Like that's a lot of.
so I'd say 3 groups, 20 kids per group.
And Mr. Gulardo too.
Yeah, same on him.
So you're doing 60 bags a day and then teaching
Well, you'd look at what you were doing for the week and you'd set up the bags for the week.
for the week. Oh, that's still
It's still work, but it
work.
it got us.
Moving pasta is not fun.
Oh, it's not. It's very time consuming, and worse than that, at that particular time, they didn't want you in the building. They didn't want us in the high school. High school still shut down, so it was a lot of work, but we got through. And I learned about what recipes worked better virtually versus, some not. But it was still all in all a good practice to bring me, to being a better educator, I think. And it worked out in like let's say with cutting, for example. I used to train kids on potatoes because they were cheap and they were dense, and you can cut them in half and get a good stable surface. But on the flip side, when I teach on celery now because that celery makes a sound. It'll pop really really loud if your knife is dull, and it lets me know here that your knife is very dull, and I can talk you through it a little bit differently because I need something letting me know that the knife is dull. If you've never cut before, you don't know what you're doing, but that celery, like making that sound, is telling me your knife is really, really dull. Okay, we have a different conversation we have to have. And that, little small tricks like that, like you just gotta, get your hands dirty and relearn.
So did you do a knife sharpening class? This is the first class.
No, please refer to this link. Purchase this Amazon. Please stop cutting on this glass countertop or on this. Please use cutting boards. I gave students cutting boards. We had a stockpile of cutting boards. I gave away a lot of stuff just to kind of get them going. So, as long as you're cutting on a better surface and you're not trying to open Dan cans with your knife and stuff, it started getting better. Which that was another issue. Hey, it's a knife. I can no, you can't open that can with that. Stop, please. I don't have a can opener. Come tomorrow, I will have a can opener for you, please. Don't use the knife you just bought. So it's scary. It has been scary, but we've gotten better.
So what are some of the recipes you're teaching as opposed to the ones you're not teaching?
As of now, we're doing lots of really interesting things. The advanced kids recently did a green tea cupcake, which really is a delicious recipe.
Oh, you're getting into the pastry over there.
Yeah, getting into the pastries. So where the baking is always a safe place. I've been doing a lot of. We did a really in-depth bread lesson, with lots of good breads. Some kids don't have ovens, so it's like, okay, I've got this flatbread. Oh, I don't have a KitchenAid. Okay, well, I've got this great focaccia recipe. You don't need a KitchenAid for it. So we really got into, and again, just re-going through recipes that I never did normally, but now doing them, and it just worked out. So we've been doing good stuff. It's just the change and a lot of testing on my side, and a lot of, all right, does this work in my 20-minute or 30-minute window that I have? Because the window of time to teach virtually is completely different too. Our school days now are only half a day. So we're done
Oh,
by, yeah, exactly. So we're done by 12:20 every day. So shorter window.
how do they
I don't know. I don't.
learn anything?
It's you compress a lot more information. So for culinary, where we need time, we have a lot less time.
So I mean, I feel like they would be beneficial if you're the last class of the day, if in that case, but
Not for us.
what? So you're only having half of your classes, so it's
Correct.
every other day?
It's in a 3-day rotation. So I see the group for 3 days, and then another group, it rotates 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. But it's still a lot. Like you're losing that continuity because you're only seeing the 3 days, and it's shorter days. So you really have to push and get through and compress a lot. Whereas in culinary, our mise en place, our detail, that stuff's super important. You don't want to shortcut that. You have to find creative ways for them to still retain information and make those shortcuts at the same time. It's tough.
So what are you cooking in 20, 30 minutes? I mean, they have the
Let's
mise en
say,
place ready before you start?
so let's say I'm doing a bread, or like a focaccia, for example. I
Okay.
will demonstrate it live. I will have the recipe in a folder. I'll make the dough, and then I'll have a dough that's already made, and then I'll have one that's coming out of the oven, just like a cooking show, kind of sort of. So I have to kind of go through it that way. So it's a lot more prep on my side. And then for the next 2 days, one day is them getting the dough or baking it or whatever, and I'm watching them live as they are participating in doing the other parts of it,
Oh.
which is me watching like a hawk, like, oh my gosh, what's happening, which is scary. I'll give you an example. There was a kid, we were doing French toast. They got the recipe. I demonstrated the French toast. Everybody said, hey, I'm familiar. I know what French toast is. I've made it before. Okay, fine, good. So we're making French toast. And one kid he goes to flip his French toast, and he has it. And I see him like pausing to flip it. And I'm like, why is he holding it? Why is he holding it? What's he doing? And I'm watching, and he drops it, and there's this big burst of flames. And I'm like, everybody stop. Oh my gosh, I saw a fireball. It was a big orange fireball, and it went down. Turn off your stove. Bring your camera closer. Is everybody okay? He brings the camera closer. The recipe called for 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. He used 1 cup of vegetable oil. So his bread was floating. He was deep frying French toast.
Probably tasted amazing, but oh my
Probably it tasted
god.
amazing. That's true. But for safety, it's like, dude. So he flipped it, and it splashed all this oil and like the fire. But it was like, it's stuff like that. Like yeah, the recipe said 1 tablespoon. There was no abbreviation on it. He still had 1 cup.
Did he like do you go over that kind of safety stuff now before you start, like how to put out
I
a grease fryer?
I did that before.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, no, I know I did.
yeah, yeah.
I,
Okay.
I did. No, and even in that recipe, I go over safety, but it's, you can't stop some people just not reading things the right way.
Oh yeah, but I guess do the parents have to be present for this class?
So now for recipes where we're using large amounts of oil, yes. Yes, going forward, I made a sweeping change. Like, look, I can't. My nerves. I can't. And even then, it was like, that was even a situation. But you got to just be careful. You have to double, triple check every single thing. And now it's like, okay, we're about to start. Before you turn on your pans, I want to see your pan. Bring it over. Bring that camera over. I want to see. Like, we're not done, Mr. Huggins. I know. I need
Not
to.
all of you.
Like, I know, I just need to see your pan. I need to inspect. Okay. Your me's up. Let me inspect. I need to see it. Because you're virtual. It's tough. It's scary. It's scary.
Oh my god, that's so funny. The cup. It's probably good. I made a deep fried French toast a while ago.
Uh-huh.
It's so good. I had to make another one.
Exactly. No, I get it. That'd be totally delicious, but it's like,
So
dude.
that's terrible. But nothing went on fire. It went out
Yeah.
like as soon as it happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Nothing, no, it was just a quick flame up and out.
Does everyone have their fingers still in class?
Yeah, thankfully I've gotten no cuts thus far, and I'm very happy with that. I took my knife skills class very seriously. I actually had students, had each student had to prepare a video, an up close video presentation using like 3 to 4 different cutting styles. That was what I would use as a baseline. Like, so before we can begin cutting anything, you have to submit your cutting video, a really close video of you cutting, so I can see you doing a mince, you doing a chop. I want to see your hand positioning, as far as your cutting hand, your guiding hand. And it was good. So again, that's just learning different things, and they can submit me a video. They do a lot of video submissions, basically.
That's crazy.
But even coming up with that, it's so much work. It's like really a lot of groundwork to get all that
Well,
done.
then you got to go watch all the videos
Yeah. You got 125 kids, you got 125 videos to watch.
of cutting.
Yes.
Exciting. Riveting stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot of time. So and they look at it as, all right, well, you're teaching half the day, so that gives you the half a day every day to grade stuff and watch videos.
So what are some of your, because I'm sure you're sending them to links and stuff, what are some of your favorite like internet chefs to learn from besides me?
I've I would say YouTube University has been big. I spent a lot of time scouring different YouTube videos, a lot, just looking for different teachable points. Let's say right now we're making gnocchi, and gnocchi, because there's only a couple ingredients. We're in potatoes,
Wait,
and
hold on. Have the Italian grandmothers chimed in a cooking class yet?
yes, I've gotten some good compliments. But yes, we're making gnocchi now. So what I did was I found a YouTube video with a guy I watch a lot. His name is Babish. So I basically have a Babish video, and then I try to find another video where somebody's making gnocchi in a similar way, but with some kind of variation, just so they can see that there's a lot of different ways that we can approach it. And I have lots of pictures and stuff, and then I'll demo it. I make the dough and I'll do it. The great thing about like the Babish video, for example, he made 4 different shapes in one video, and it's just like, what, like, you can use it with a fork, you can just roll into a ball. He and that's where it's at. I just try to find videos from chefs that are willing to show that one thing done a few different ways, so kids can see that there's variations to it. Like Alton Brown is good with that. It's just taking the time and saying, okay, we're going to teach this. Let's find the videos to support it. And I know I'm going to show it, but I want them to also see videos that they can keep, click those links and watch them as they're doing it, because they have their computer there, their laptop, and I want them to have as much, resource as possible to get other things done.
Yeah, I remember Alton Brown, man. Like Good Eats was my favorite show when I was a kid. I would stay up late and like it would because I was doing homework or whatever, I'd be up at like I would come home. I would go to sleep from like 4 to like right before jujitsu. I would wake up for jujitsu, um, do work, do homework or whatever, because I would always lie and said I did it already, and then but I would be up till like 4 o'clock in the morning doing homework, and then wake up for like because the bell rang at like 8:15, and
Mhm.
I lived like over Church Street, so like by Bloomfield Ave. So it took me 7 minutes to run from my house to
Okay.
homeroom. So I had like perfectly placed
Notice how you had the timing down exactly how much.
timing, perfect. And but I would stay up and do my homework, and I'd watch Good Eats, and then Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives would be on,
There you
and it
go.
was just like over and over again. But it's just Good Eats like every night. But then
Yeah,
he redid his series and fixed everything that was wrong in it,
yeah.
which I haven't had a chance to see. But that must be like
It's good stuff. It's great. So I use those resources. It's always, like not one person in particular. It's just try to find videos that support that recipe, and that will give you as much variety, because I want the kids to still see there's not just one way to do it. There's so many variations and twists that you can put on a particular
yeah,
dish.
especially those Italian kids. Their grandmas are telling them, "This is the way you do it.
Tell me about it.
This is the right way.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
gravy. It's not sauce."
oh my gosh, that's a debate. That's just that is a forever debate. Hey,
Forever
I got to
debate.
move my car real quick. Can I do that? And I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Be right back. Sorry about that.
I was thinking, I've been thinking about focaccia since you said focaccia. I make focaccia all the time for farmers
Oh,
market.
me too. I love focaccia. There you go. Okay. Love that stuff. So easy to make too.
I make great sandwiches.
Of course.
Great sandwiches. Oh, and put an egg on it. Best breakfast. But anyway, so another thing I want to ask you was, um, now that the pandemic hit and everything, is being a chef something you would still recommend kids do?
Ooh, that's a good one. Uh, we always have to eat. We will always have to eat. The pandemic isn't going to change our our cravings for a variety of good foods. I think it has hit the restaurant model dramatically. So for all those people that are saying I need to become a chef to get a restaurant, uh, this is serious. That is a dramatic hit. A good friend of mine who's been a chef on a cruise ship for a very long time. It's tough. So the model is the problem. The takeout model works. We know it works. We know it's not going anywhere. People still want food. The catering model, which for me, I still cater, it has just changed. And I'm still catering. So now instead of going and catering full scale events, I get people that say, hey, can you trim and marinate all my meats? And I just buy them from you that way and I'll cook them, but I want to pay you to trim and season and marinate and do that. Or you're getting people that want chef prepared things, where they do the final twist on the cooking. They want the instructions from you and they do it, but you're involved in the meal kind of halfway through the process. So the model is shifting. I would say if you want to be a chef, of course, if your passion is food, stay with it. We're still here. That's not going anywhere. But the standard brick and mortar model for restaurants, that is the problem. If you have a food truck, you can get a lot of things done. I have a few guys that I know with food trucks are doing very well. And they've just expanded their menus and tried different things. A buddy of mine catered a wedding recently out of his food truck at a very large. Somebody had like a mansion Airbnb kind of thing, and they drove the food truck there and they did the whole wedding there. So If you love food, you'll be fine. Be a chef, no problem. It's just the model has completely shifted, and I think that we all need to be aware, that we have to be ready to adapt with this pandemic, and hopefully we never get any more. But should something like this ever happen, we have to be ready to adjust more quickly.
I
To
think it's gonna happen again.
I
Like
wouldn't be surprised.
I
I,
have
I I wouldn't be surprised, but I think if it happens again, the USDA shouldn't stop inspecting food. That
that is crazy.
that is crazy, and they continued to. It lasted for months.
Well,
You know,
also just that was something that like I always the supply chain, like the industrial supply chain is something that I always knew like was a problem. And I
Mhm.
think everyone kind of knows is a problem. They didn't know like how big of
How
a
much of a
problem.
problem exactly, and that is so. We've had a chance to really shed some light on some problem areas, but I wouldn't in any way shy kids away from culinary. I think we need chefs that are thinking differently, because this pandemic has shown us, if nothing else, we have to think differently. We have to approach this differently.
Well, also with culinary, like being a teacher, especially now that you did botany club and all that other stuff, I'm sure you are showing people too that you don't just have to be a chef to be involved in food,
Correct.
which
Correct.
is something that I think took a long time for myself to learn.
Mhm.
Because I always wanted like a cafe or a bakery growing up, like that's the dream. But thank God I didn't do that.
Yeah, the
Thank
percentage
God
of
I
restaurants
paid
that shut
for.
down in America, my gosh, the amount of restaurants that have been shut down in America alone, it's the numbers are staggering. It's serious stuff. It's just, hey, let's still do it. Let's just approach it differently. Let's definitely still do this, but we need a completely different approach to it. And even the culinary teachers in America need a completely different approach to how they're teaching. And it will happen. I think they know it. We just have to adjust.
Are you teaching a lot more about where the food comes from now than you were before?
I'm spending more time there now, especially with the we have more time in that I would say before it was not that it wasn't any theory behind the ingredients and what we were doing, but I definitely spend more time. That supply chain situation just opened up a whole new dynamic of area to focus on in education with my teaching. So definitely, yes, I think that if I had the ability to return back to full school days, I'd be able to just provide that much more of a richer education, because now it is about where the food is coming from and the processing and the oversight. There's so much more that I didn't focus on then that I'm focusing on more now. So I think it's definitely opened my eyes, and I will only continue that. The sourcing of it and the supply chain situation, it's something to really think about. It really is a dynamic thing to think about. Um, even the increase in preservatives that are being used in foods right now, due to the pandemic. That's something we're looking at that.
Wait,
And
they're increasing the preservatives in foods due to the pandemic? Because they
I
were already high. So I'm just like,
there. I mean, if you think about it, we've got foods that we need to stockpile more to prevent certain problems. And now, okay, as of recently, McDonald's just made a switch to their potato that they've been using for their French fries. And this is within the past 2 weeks. So you've got people genetically doing and working on potatoes and developing more and more different types of things that they can use for commercial fast foods. And McDonald's just adopted a brand new potato. So they're not using, before they were using the Burbank russet. Now it's a whole different potato that has different properties that will store much longer. So we can stockpile these potatoes, and of course they're playing scientists in these labs doing this, but this potato just got approved within the past 2 weeks. So there's a lot of science happening behind the scenes, because we need food that doesn't spoil, as much. We need to be able to take, certain foods and store them for longer periods of time to stockpile them more, because we don't know if we're going to have a supply chain issue. So there are lots of changes that are happening in food, things that I didn't focus about, in my teaching or in my personal life. So I think there's definitely a lot.
One of the things that I started when the pandemic hit was I started a garden on
Okay.
my patio,
Hmm.
which it got a little bit of trouble from the HOA, but you know, the rules are vague, so I'm using everything I got. But I basically took four now, like storage bin containers, like big ones, because to get a big planter like that is like a couple $100. So
Okay.
I was like, this is like a 27-gallon container and it's
Okay.
$10, which is versus trying to get the same thing as a planter is like $300. So, and I'm like, they're both plastic boxes. I don't understand.
Okay.
But so I drilled holes in the bottom and I started these containers. And right now I have tomatoes out there. Tomatoes, but I've saved hundreds of dollars in herbs. All the herbs on my focaccia right now are
You
from
grew.
my garden. I grew.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Uh,
I've always grown, and so when I got the chance to do the botany club in the high school, it just was great, and I had a pretty impressive garden. I think we were growing like, melons and different varieties of peppers and eggplants, and like we really got pretty crazy when we were out there. It was a lot
is
of
that in the
work.
courtyard, in the senior courtyard?
In the senior courtyard, we had 4 different rectangular plots, very large plots, and we really did a lot. We actually did a tremendous amount.
Did So are you gonna work that into the virtual curriculum? That's my question.
I wish. It's definitely not possible right now.
Not now.
100%.
Come on, some dirt, yo.
I would like to, but with the building kind of, it's like something happens, it gets shut down. I need the consistency, and that's tough.
No, I mean like at home as an assignment. Like here,
Oh,
make a herb garden.
yes, 100%. 100. Okay, sorry. Yes, you said that the wrong way. Yes, 100%. Because again, it's fun. I think it's fun, and it's a good way to be involved with your food. 100%. Like
Because one of the
100%.
things too that's I'm still like when I was a kid, when you go to the store, there's not many varieties.
Correct.
One of the things that scares me about the McDonald's changing their potato is you're going to create a whole new monoculture of this kind of potato. And if it has those properties where it doesn't go bad, like those seeds are going to spread around, they're going to get to other plants. Like, how is it going to affect everything else that we grow?
Exactly.
That's scary.
It is. I mean, McDonald's is a giant. With that potato, you can do a lot. You're exactly right.
So, but I think one of the things that put it in perspective for me was growing my own food, because even just in tomatoes, like the variety of tomatoes is endless, but we see like maybe six varieties in the store.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just, and like I've been saving and seed saving too. Like, imagine if your students, like, you have how many students like learned how to save seeds? Like, how many seed savers you would have? How many crazy heirloom varieties you would have in like 5 years?
Exactly. Exactly. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
That'd be
That could be
amazing.
awesome.
You'd have like the seed bank. Like when the zombies come, I'm going to Nutley High School to get the seeds.
Yeah.
Like that. They had this giant seed bank in it might have been in Sweden or something. It was very far north, like towards the Arctic Circle. And
Hmm.
they're like, we're gonna store the seeds here because it's super cold and they'll keep forever. And then global warming like melted the facility.
Oh no.
And it started flooding. And I was like, whoa.
Oh
Is that
no.
crazy?
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. That is.
But yeah, but the variety too with the even in the teaching and the shapes of the gnocchi, like I think that's great because it also, like, how often do you get into like culture and political conversations with that? Because you're teaching history, you're teaching politics, because like even like, you know, even to teach about the croissant, right? Like that's political in itself because that is
Oh,
from Turkey. Like
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah.
so, and Nutley's getting more diverse, but
Yes, it is.
it's not super diverse. So
Not yet. Not yet.
not yet. So so how has that, like, have you seen people's like minds been blown and changed from that? Like,
it's we're at the beginnings of it. The problem is that we're still in the culture of the virtual model where these kids are so upset that they have to be in school virtually that you're not getting them. You know, I can try to have certain types of conversations with you, but if it's like crickets and I say something and everybody's just gone, it's a little bit different. Engaging people in person is different. And virtually, if you think about it, like I could be there, they have to mute their screen, and you randomly call someone and they have to unmute, and you can hear that they're playing a video in the game in the background, or they're involved in a conversation or whatever. Like I could be looking at you, but I could have that controller and I've got like my screen right here, and I'm just playing a video game the whole time, and you don't see me, you know, like working a controller. So it's tough. It can be tough. So I would say there is still a limitation to how far I can go. I have to go fast. I have to, you know, keep them engaged very quickly, and they're still very bitter about being virtual. So it can be tough. So I can't go but so far. I think that as we return, the political conversation, the depth to the sourcing of food. Now there's so many other directions that now I see are so important to the conversation of food that I will include then. It's just as of right now, when you've got, you know, a bunch of kids, you know, in the morning they're in their pajamas, or the kid that's literally, you can see them on head on the pillow and they've got the notebook on the pillow, and it's like, come on, dude, like, come on, wake up. I know you don't have to get dressed and you're there, you know, virtually for school, but come on, you know, get with it. And it's tough to go but so far because you'll lose them. So once we return, I think those are mandatory things that I will be on, because I think it's really cool. But I'm still limited because we're virtual and they're still high school kids.
yeah, how do they, there's no virtual detention, is there?
No such thing. There's no such thing.
Oh my god, that was that was always the getting good tension.
Yeah, there's your deterrent. That where do you have that now? You don't. You don't.
Then you have to rely on the parents to do that, and they're trying to work from home, so that's fun.
That, and you know, recording the meetings, and you know, hey, like, guys, this can be viewed by others, you know, like, so you can't say that I can't use this as evidence, you know, like, you know, it's come on. Even down to kids dressing appropriately, you have to say, hey, you're at home, but you must be dressed appropriately as if you're in school, you know, like,
Yeah, they had those dress codes.
uh, yeah.
Only two, they're important, but some of them were ridiculous. The two, some of them were ridiculous,
Well,
but
they
yeah,
definitely push
important.
the envelope virtually. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh man, there's so many. There was one. A couple of my friends are teachers now, and there was one kid's like mom that like didn't know she was in the background, like getting changed. That's
Wow.
gotta be fun. You know,
Yeah, it's it,
one of
it
that stuff.
it's interesting. Virtual model. Can't wait till we get back. I definitely can't
When do
wait.
you get back? Do you have a
I
time?
would say September.
September. Is there a
September.
summer vacation now?
No, we're on spring break right now, but in
Oh, like
September,
I meant now as in there's virtual school. Is there still summer vacation?
Yeah, we're following still the schedule.
Huh. Is there gonna be summer school
No.
once? Because like they're probably really far behind, no?
Um, you know, I would say yes and no. It's up to the teacher to compress the education and and still do your job. You still got to do your job, but if they're far behind, it's because you're presenting the material slower. You gotta pick up the pace. You have to find a way to get it done. And that's the job. Just like if we were chefs in the kitchen, we got to find a way to get it done. And it's the same thing here. Find a way. That means relearning your material. That means finding new ways to present your material, but you still have to cover that curriculum. You still got to get it done.
That's true.
With less time, but that's your job. Get it done.
Are they all? Are a lot of them failing or no?
I would say no. I would say no. Kids are this is the time for the good teachers to shine. This is the time for those teachers that have to challenge themselves to find a better way to do it. This is the time for teachers to get creative and go back to basics. But I think that the Nutley teachers are definitely rising up to the challenge. You hear lots of good things. I hear lots of good things.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
I can't
everybody's.
imagine like leaving like Nutley. I'm like, man, if I thought it was bad before when I left, like I'm sure there's other places in the United States that are not doing so great. So
It's a challenging time period, but if you're an educator, just step up, relearn what you do, find a better way to present it.
and
Get
that's one thing with like moving. Like you have a kid now. Like you don't want that kid to go to school in Florida.
mm,
Trust me. You don't.
Thanks for that. Okay.
There was a I'm gonna mention who it was. There was a person that recently graduated high school.
Okay.
I know. And they went to school in Florida. And they told me corn had no nutritional value. And this, hold on. Yeah, this is crazy. But so I ignored it because I was just like not in the mood that night.
Okay.
There was no night. Because it brought up the same thing. Corn has no nutritional value. So like, can you elaborate on this? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she's like, I was like, it's got vitamin A, it's a starch, you still need carbs, like it's got fiber.
Of
What
course.
are you talking about? And I go, yeah, but it's like inside the kernel. And I was like, but you got teeth. You have teeth.
It's okay.
So I would say Nutley has a better school system.
Well, hooray for Nutley. We're definitely
Just think about that before
okay.
you move to
You got
where
it.
you like the
Well, I would say by the time I'm moving, I won't be putting any children into these school systems. I'll be beyond that point. So, so
Oh, okay. I forgot it was like 9 years. I keep thinking it is longer.
yeah, 9 years, and
Shorter.
my daughter is 9 right now. So the
Oh,
next nine
perfect
years,
timing.
yeah, exactly. Graduating high school, going to college. I'm leaving New Jersey, so it'll work at the same time. Perfect time.
And then she can't even move back in. She's not gonna know where to go.
Wouldn't want that in the first place. You gotta go. Or at least that's the way I was taught. It's like from an early age, you gotta go. You can't stay here. You have to go.
Well, I don't know. It's different now, but I hope by the time your daughter goes to college, it doesn't cost as much.
My trick is if nothing else, I can try to get some kind of an adjunct professor job at her school and get a discount on the tuition.
Yeah, my mom was so mad that we didn't want to go to really Vegas.
Yeah, I know. She's like, oh.
She was like, but it's got it because it has a great restaurant and hospitality program, but it doesn't have a culinary program. It doesn't have.
Exactly.
So I was like, No.
No, exactly. No, yeah. She's like, no, but I get a discount, a large discount.
And then Danny wanted to do music, and they didn't really have like a. And she was like, "No, someone has to use this."
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying to. I've got a lot of good certifications under my belt. I'll do something real general at another place to try to reap those benefits.
I wonder if you
hopefully,
could.
it's hopefully it's in Florida. Hey, hopefully, but I probably won't have luck like that. You know.
Well, this the college. I don't. I think the like under college, like high school underneath, is not great, but the state schools are they're really cheap,
Mm,
and I hear like it's not Harvard, but it's not terrible.
terrible.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I think it was only like $2,000 for like a semester or something. Like
Wow.
that's
That's not
really
bad.
cheap for here. And
That's
and also if you live in the state, there's some sort of thing where like a lot of times they go for free.
okay. Well, that's telling me that I need to put something on that land that I have and establish residency down there so I can and start pushing Florida schools.
Yeah, no, really look into it. It's because a lot of people like they just go for free because they have another residence. They got the
Exactly.
snowbird life over there.
Exactly.
You're trying
Exactly.
to be a snowbird.
No, no, no. I don't mind the snow. I'm
You
just trying to
still
leave New
like
Jersey.
have barely. You have like a little bit more gray hair, but
Yeah, no,
I'll
it's
never.
still there.
I'll never forget like when I was a kid in high school. People listening, Mr. Huggins showed me a picture of him in high school, and I could not tell the difference. But I was like, "You took that yesterday. That's not. That's not." And
Yep.
now I might be able to tell the difference just
Good.
because you have
Good.
like a little bit of gray hair.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's definitely a difference.
I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" And he
Yeah.
had the same car because it was the car picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also
Yeah.
supposed to ask if you still have the drawing that Noel made you.
Which one?
The one he's like, I drew it, and last time we came to visit, like you still had it, and it said like it was like a drawing of you, I guess.
Yes, I still have it. It was a really badass drawing. I
Yeah.
remember that he penciled. It was like with like pencil or something. So in my back room, I keep letters, drawings, you name it. I still have it, 100%. Because I don't get that many good artistic kids that draw stuff, so I always keep it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't get a lot of drawings at all. I've gotten some really cool drawings over the year. I have them all. I would say, to be honest, one of my all-time favorite odd things I've gotten from a student was a CD. There was a kid who I'll name nameless, was failing, but he was a good kid. And he said, if I make you a CD of songs, will you pass me? And he actually made a CD. And at that time, I was getting engaged. So he's like, look, I'm going to make a whole album that you can dedicate to your wife. And, and
It is like
so, it was I actually played the CD at my wedding. The first, my ex, well, we're not together, so my ex-wife's name was Sandy, and the first song on the CD was called Oh Sandy, and it was horrible, but it was the funniest thing. Like he really sang and he tried.
wait, hold on. I thought it was a mixtape. He sang the songs on the
he
CD.
he sang and he rapped. He had different.
Oh my god.
Yes, it was the greatest. He sang and he rapped. It was like 5 songs where he sang and he rapped, and it was, it was, it was glorious. It was glorious. Like I'm serious. I remember like people were eating at the wedding. I played it, and it was just everybody's just laughing because they're like, "Who is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's one of my former students." I had to play it. It was amazing. It was amazing. To this day, like every time I play, it's just like this is just truly ridiculous. Like, and he rapped about being in the student parking lot and you know how Huggins should take Sandy to Mandy's and because yeah, I know. You know,
To get her wedding dress.
no, it was like next level. Like he made this kind of a corny track for every single song, but he would sing and rap, and it was him, and it was horrible, but it was the best thing ever. The best thing ever. I will never forget that CD, that kid.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now you have to like put it on, digital because CDs are kind of. You
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
boombox over there some way.
Yeah, no, I still have the CD. I gotta definitely put it on digital, but I love it. It's amazing. Amazing. The best. Period.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was good talking to you. I feel like we should wrap it up.
This was a lot of fun, Grace. I had so much fun tonight. I'm so glad we did this. If there is ever anything I can do to support you in any way, please let me know. I'm a fan. I'm game. You're so awesome, so talented. Please let me know what I can do to support you in any way, shape, or form.
Just, subscribe and watch the videos.
Oh, you know it. Done. You know it.
Gotta get people to do that.
I mean, can you please forward me anything that you can? And
yeah. And I'm gonna, I gotta tell the class of 09 about this. You're our class advisor.
Yes, I actually went to the event the event last year. It was great. Were you there?
Reunion? No, I couldn't afford the plane tickets for a little, but I was in Thailand, so I was like, let's go.
I mean, yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, forget it. No, but I was there last year. It was really good to see all the guys. I had the big group shot. I had our keychains. I had our pens that were misspelled. I had all that stuff that I gave back out. The video from our fashion show and all that stuff. I had our cookbook that we made. Yeah, I had all that stuff. I kept everything.
So, Noel and I have been a will they or won't they sitcom for quite some time. But like we walked together in the fashion show. So do you have like a digital copy of that you could send me?
I will work that out. I will definitely work that out. If not, I have a few of the actual CDs or DVDs, and I'll just mail you one.
I don't have a DVD player.
I'll work it out. I'll get it. You know what? I will get you that copy. Done.
All right.
Because I have the fashion show video.
Oh my God. We walked out to the James Bond theme song.
Okay.
That's the first Black James Bond right there.
There you go. That's
and Latino.
Okay. I remember being busy trying to resolve all kinds of crazy things happening. Instead of being able to watch it, I was behind the scenes trying to.
Oh yeah, Cully form. That was my dress. Cully was wearing. Looking like Dennis Rodman over there. Oh my God. What a time.
Good times.
Good times. Good times. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna do the outro. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions for Mr. Huggins. I'm sure some of your former students might. And we'll see you next time on Chef Crazy's Place.